Hi everyone, this is Dr. Kishore. Today I'm going to discuss about the glycolysis. So in the previous class, I explained about the carbohydrate metabolism in an overview and where we discussed various kinds of the carbohydrate metabolic pathways. And here I'm going to discuss one by one pathway in the coming classes. So today's our class is to glycolysis. So this glycolysis, which will be catabolic pathway, the catabolic pathway where the glucose molecule is converted into the into a different products that is based on aerobic and anaerobic conditions. So coming to the glycolysis, negrate glycose means sweet and lysis means splitting. So this is nothing but a splitting of sweet molecule. That's what we also call carbohydrates or saccharides. Saccharides are mean these are the sweet to taste. So let's start this reaction and we'll discuss the various kinds of reaction and their regulations and their importance. In this particular session, I'm going to talk about the basic introduction and preparatory phase, payoff phase of the glycolysis pathway. And even also I'm going to discuss about the regulatory enzymes of the glycolysis pathway and of course, and finally, the inhibitors as well as activators also I'm going to discuss here. So now coming to the glycolysis. So glycolysis we also call the EMP pathway. You should understand this is EMP pathway. EMP pathway means Embeden-Meyerhof-Partners pathway. So these are the three scientists. They given a major breakthrough of this glycolysis pathway, and of course this is to be well understood pathway of among all cell metabolic pathways. So they are working on yeast and muscle cells, and finally they have given a very clear-cut reactions of glycolysis, where they explained about the sequential breaking down of the glucose into various products depending on oxygen, presence of oxygen or absence of oxygen. So these are the three major scientists which involved for this cracking of this glycolysis pathway. But then coming to this glycolysis pathway, we also call as the universal central pathway of glucose catabolism. Why we are calling this a central pathway? Because the glycolysis pathway is to be oxidative pathway of carbohydrate metabolism. This oxidative pathway is, which is nothing but the major intention of this oxidation of glucose is to be produced the energy in a form of ATP. So that's what which is to be very central pathway of each and every cell, irrespective of aerobic and anaerobic. And in most of the cases, this is to be a primitive metabolic system. This we should understand. This can be with the respective of two statements. First one, during an evolution, there is the organisms which have arisen in the earth that can be at the absence of oxygen. So the anaerobic bacteria are anaerobic organisms that are present at the earlier stage on the earth. Even that also this pathway is existed, that is in anaerobic conditions. That is the one sense. And second important thing is this, why I am calling is primitive, because here this pathway location where exactly the reactions which are happening in a cell is to be only on cytoplasmic matrix. So in the cytoplasmic matrix means this is to be very primitive. Why? Because there is no single reaction that can existing in the intracellular organelles. So this pathway has been very primitive, because by the time even no organelles has formed, right? So, and one important thing is also this can be operated in both aerobic and anaerobic anaerobic conditions. Now you can see here the aerobic glycolysis, where the glucose can come from either the storage glycogen or from directly from the digestion procedure, and this glucose is converted into the pyruvic acid. This pyruvic acid is to be at the end product of this glycolysis if it is the oxygen present, and that can be converted into the CO2 and water molecule plus ATP. That's what we call it as energy giving pathway. And if it is to be an anaerobic conditions, the glucose is converting into the pyruvic acid, and finally that can into the lactic acid. Here also the ATP can also be generated. So depending on whether the oxygen or presence of oxygen or absence of oxygen, the product will vary. But this can be operated at both the stages, and which is a very important oxidative pathway. And the aim of this glycolysis is to be provide the cellular energy. And we are going to understand the little basic concept here. Suppose this is the cell is to be adipocyte cell or a skeletal muscle cell. Suppose this adipocyte and the skeletal muscle cell will have a special kind of the glucose transporters we call GLUT4. So this is glucose transporter 4 will be present in adipose tissue and the skeletal muscle. This will present in the plasma membrane of this particular cell, and that can directly sense the glucose which is circulating in the blood, and that can be taking from the blood, and that can be sending to the cytoplasm of these particular cells. So here this can be the GLUT4 transportation can be depending on insulin hormone. The insulin, where here I am not going to discuss about much about the insulin because that can be anywhere. I am going to discuss at the diabetic condition. So here the insulin will be at a series of cell signaling cascade. The insulin will finally make the GLUT transporter 4, and that can be stored in a vesicles, and these vesicles are transported to the plasma membrane, and where it can be inserted in a plasma membrane, and that can try to take the glucose from the blood circulation. And if the glucose is low, or if the cell requires the enough amount of glucose, then again the GLUT4 receptors again going back into the cytoplasm. So this is how the blood glucose is entered into the any cell with the help of glucose transporters. Here I have given an example of GLUT4. This is to be present in the adipose tissue as well as skeletal muscle. So after glucose has entered inside a cell, then what are the reactions which are starting? So once the glucose is entering into the cytoplasm of any cell, then where exactly the glycolysis will start. The glycolysis, for a better understanding, we are divided into two phases: preparatory phase and payoff phase. Preparatory phase, the reactions are 5 reactions, 1 to 5, and payoff stage is next 5 reaction, that is 6 to 10. So here we need to understand that why we are divided these two phases, because for combining, we say it as glycolysis is in 10 reactions. These series of 10 reactions are trying to make the glucose to be uncatabolized and finally make the ATP. So now we are going to discuss about the preparatory phase and payoff phase in detail. Coming to the preparatory phase, the preparatory phase will have the 5 reactions as we discussed in a previous slide. So these 5 reactions can be for a better understanding. I've given the slide here. The first reaction is phosphorylation. Second is isomerization. Third is again phosphorylation. Fourth one is cleavage. Fifth one is interconversion. What does it mean? So we will go back to the structures. Once the glucose is entering into the cytoplasm of the cell, immediately the glucose has to be phosphorylated. So phosphorylated means where the single phosphate group is to be attached to the glucose as the 6th carbon of the glucose. If you take glucose will have the 6 carbons. At the 6th carbon, the phosphate group is attached. The phosphate group is to be taken from the ATP and the enzyme which is important for hexokinase. So this hexokinase will also have the isoenzymes or isoforms. I'm going to discuss in the next slide what are these hexokinases and there is isoforms. Once it is to be phosphorylated, and again it can be isomerization where the enzyme is phosphohexose isomerase. So isomerization is nothing but rearrangement of the phosphate group, not phosphate group, rearrangement of any group into its another carbon molecule, where where this can be converting into the fructose 6 phosphate, and this fructose 6 phosphate will be converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. This fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is also be again the addition of one more phosphate group. So addition of one more phosphate group that can be done with the enzyme phosphofructokinase 1. This phosphate group again from the ATP. And again, the addition of phosphate groups to these exose molecules will make this molecule is to be unstable. So unstable molecule is always having have the ability to participate many reactions so that it can be easy to degrade, easy to catabolize this molecule. So that's what addition of phosphate will be giving a greater advantage. And it can be converted into, that can be cleaved, the fourth one cleaved. So the fructose, which is also a 6 carbon molecule, that can be cleaved into 3 carbon molecules of 2. One is glycerol 3 phosphate, second one is dihydroxyacetone phosphate. So after that, the fifth step, which is interconversion. So glycerol 3 phosphate will again going into the next subsequent reactions, but not dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Once the glycerol 3 phosphate is formed and that is going into the glycolysis reactions, and again the dihydroxyacetone phosphate DHAP is again converted into glycerol 3 phosphate, and again it is going to the sequential reactions of glycolysis. Here we need to understand that even the dihydroxyacetone phosphate is also be converted into glycerol 3 phosphate. So the next step, every time we will make it to 2 molecules of glycerol 3 phosphate that can be going to the next subsequent reactions. Clear? So here I am going to discuss a little more important points with respect to these 5 phases. First one is phosphorylation. Phosphorylation means here the main important enzyme that can be involved is hexokinase. Hexokinase will have a several forms. So we call them as isozymes or isoenzymes. Isoenzymes are those which will have the same function, but they can be with the different genes. So in mammalian, so far they have 4 different isoenzymes are isolated. So these 4 different isoenzymes will have a different affinity towards glucose. This is very important. Affinity with respect to the Km value. This is Michael-Menten constant. So all these 4 hexokinases, they are given the classification hexokinase 1, 2, 3, and the 4th hexokinase is we call glucokinase. So glucokinase and hexokinase will have a variation in will have an affinity towards variation in the affinity towards the glucose molecule. So here we need to understand that affinity variation, whenever the affinity is inversely proportional to Km value. If the glucose concentration is very high in the hepatic circulation or very high in the blood circulation, then glucokinase will act on it and try to take the glucose from the blood. But the hexokinase, this will have the high affinity value, low affinity value, so it requires more little less concentration of glucose so that it can take from the blood circulation. And one of the important points we should remember, once the glucose enter into the cytoplasm, definitely it can be, first step is to be phosphorylated. Once the glucose is phosphorylated, definitely this molecule will not escape from cytoplasm to again into the blood circulation. So that's what the first step is, to be phosphorylation. And this hexokinase and glucokinase will be basing on their affinity towards glucose will be depending on this Km value. So here the glucokinase will present in particularly in a liver, because the hepatic circulation after absorption of the glucose that can giving to hepatic circulation, the hepatic circulation will directly related to the liver. So where high concentration of glucose will be present, so glucokinase will act on. But in all other cells, the hexokinase will replace this action. And coming to isomerization, the simple, it can be the aldose can be converted into ketose. That's what the glucose can be fructose. And this reaction has low free cellular energy. It can be progressed in both directions because that can be possible in a forward and reverse direction also. Third one is phosphorylation. This is again the phosphorylation, where the first committed step we call in a glycolysis is the third step, where exactly this reaction required magnesium and fructose 2,6 bisphosphate. This fructose 2,6 bisphosphate, after taking a meal, the levels will be increased, and this will directly uh, enhance this reaction of the phosphorylation of the fructose 1 phosphate to fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. And cleavage, mostly it is an equilibrium, and that can be done with the aldose. And where if you take aldose enzyme will have two major forms: type 1 and type 2. Type 1 in animal and plants, type 2 in fungi and bacteria. And there is a variation in their mechanism how it can cleave the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate. And the fifth one is interconversion. The interconversion I'll better explain here. You should understand that the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate at the fourth stage. That is, if you want to give the carbon number, this is very important in order to better understand what carbon is going to be on which molecule of these three carbon compounds. So the fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is divided into three carbon molecule. First one is dihydroxyacetone phosphate. Second one is to be glycerol 3 phosphate. So first 1, 2, 3 carbons of the fructose 1,6 phosphate will be converted into the dihydroxyacetone phosphate. You can see the color, the pink color, and rest 4, 5, 6 molecule will be converted into the glycerol 3 phosphate. Then this glycerol 3 phosphate will be involved in the subsequent reaction of glycolysis. So if you are giving the numbering of this glycerol 3 phosphate, that is based on the functional group. Here the sixth carbon will be first carbon or fifth carbon of the fructose 1,6 phosphate will convert it into second, fourth carbon will convert it into 3. This you should understand, right? So because there are many exams like CSIR, ICMR, and even GATE exams also, they will ask you the pattern of radio label carbon pattern in the glycolysis pathway. So here you should remember that fourth carbon of fructose 6 phosphate will convert it into 3, and fifth carbon will convert it into 2, and sixth carbon will convert it into 1. And again that will going to the next subsequent reactions of glycolysis. These are all the first 5 phases of the reaction we call preparatory phase. The preparatory phase is we are making stable molecule of glucose. Slowly we are making into the unstable, and then finally we are starting for the splitting of these molecules. Right? Coming to the second phase of glycolysis, that is payoff phase. This payoff phase that can start with the glycerol 3 phosphate. So you should better understand here, and wherever the required important points that can be present, and that will be explained in the coming slides. Right? The glycerol 3 phosphate will be converted into 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate. This is oxidation reaction. So oxidation reaction is definitely, you should be remember that the enzyme is dehydrogenases. So oxidation reduction reactions where dehydrogenase enzymes are involved. And if you have any clarification, you please go back to my the basic cell metabolism concepts, and where you can get this kind of the enzymes. And if you see the enzyme name, and you can in order to say whether it is to be oxidation or whether it is to be a degradation, and so on. So here enzyme is glycerol 3 phosphate dehydrogenase, where the two pyrophosphates and 2 NADH molecule will be converted into 2 NADH plus and 2H plus molecule. Why I am writing in 2? Because this is one from directly glycerol 3 phosphate and one more from conversion of BHAP into glycerol 3 phosphate. And the second step is 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate. This 1,3-bisphosphoglycerate is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate, where exactly 2 ATPs are formed. One ATP for one conversion and one more ATP for another conversion. So where the enzyme is always kinase. So phosphoglycerate kinase is an enzyme that can involved in the second step. So this is phosphoryl transfer. The transfer is from the 1,3-bisphosphate to the ADP. And 3-phosphoglycerate will be again converted into 2-phosphoglycerate. This is to be conversion, not the isomerization, where exactly the mutase enzyme will play this action. And where 2-phosphoglycerate again converted into the dehydration means the water molecule will be released, and you can see here where exactly the water molecule are removing, and finally it can convert into phosphoenol pyruvate. This phosphoenol pyruvate is at final stage, it converted into pyruvate. Again the enzyme is kinase, pyruvate kinase, where again 2 molecules of ATPs are produced, because one from phosphoenol pyruvate and another is also from phosphoenol pyruvate. This is transfer of phosphoryl group. Is it clear? So why I am saying it is payoff step? Because here 2 ATPs at the 7th step and 2 ATPs at the 10th step will be formed, direct ATPs. And at the 6th step, 2 NADHs can also be formed, and this is going to the subsequent Krebs cycle and electron transport chain and oxidative phosphorylation. Finally, it can also produce the 6 ATPs, 3 ATPs for 1 NADH. So 3 into 2 total 6 ATPs can produced, right? So here I am going to discuss a few basic important points. The oxidation. This oxidation is important because it can be reduced. NADH is formed from the oxidized NAD plus, which is very important, because if cell it does not have the NAD plus, oxidized NAD plus, definitely the glycolysis reaction which is not going to be happen. So that will stop. So the maintaining of NAD plus in an oxidized state will be important for this glycolysis reaction. And phosphoryl transfer, that is 7th step, where ATP is formed, and we need to understand this step we call substrate level phosphorylation, which is important. Why it is to be substrate level phosphorylation? Substrate level phosphorylation means sometimes the molecular they are rich in energy. So when they are going into the low energy molecule, the rich energy molecule will be captured in a ATP form. So that we call substrate level phosphorylation. Whenever you see the substrate level phosphorylation where directly ATP is formed, it is no need to going for the Krebs cycle, even electron transport chain. Generally, the ATP is formed after Krebs cycle electron transport, only the ATP is formed. But here, some cases it can directly form ATP, we call substrate level phosphorylation. There are 2 substrate level phosphorylation reactions that can be present in a glycolysis. One is 7th step, and second one is to be at the 10th step. So the overall reaction is exergonic, so that can give the energy will capture to make the ATP. So you can see here the diagram how it is to be giving to the phosphate to ADP and finally from the ATP. And the conversion step, this is intramolecular arrangement, this is not an isomerization. So here the enzyme is mutase. So in most of the cells, 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate is present only in trace elements. So 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate is present in a trace elements because it does not have much importance. But if exclusively if you take erythrocytes, this will play the major role, where it can regulate the affinity of hemoglobin for the oxygen. If more amount of 2,3-bisphosphoglycerate is present, so more amount of oxygen is to be bind to the hemoglobin, and the hemoglobin will supply the more amount of oxygen to the cells. And coming to the third dehydration, where the energy phosphate transition to the potential is generated, and this reaction will require 2 molecules of magnesium, and rest of the reaction will require 1 molecule of magnesium. And final one is again the substrate level phosphorylation, because here also the 2 molecule of ATP is generated. And the pyruvate first appear in its enol form, and it is trying to change its structure, that is to be keto form. This is non-enzymatical reaction, because at the neutral pH, the keto form is more stable than the eno form, and this reaction leads to ATP synthesis. This is important. So finally, what is happening? So the initial product of glucose will convert it into the 2 molecules of 3-phosphate, 2 molecules of 3-pyruvate or pyruvic acid. That is important. So coming to the summary of the glycolysis, total 10 reactions, and one molecule of glucose is converted into two molecules of 3-carbon compounds, that is pyruvates. 2 pyruvate molecule is formed, and oxidation of one glucose will give 2 NADH generated, and 2 ATPs are utilized initially, right? Whenever the first and third step, the phosphate is added to the glucose and glucose 6-phosphate. Again, one more phosphate is added to fructose 1-phosphate, so fructose 1,6-phosphate. 2 ATPs are utilized, and finally 4 ATPs are generated at the 7th and 10th step. So total payoff is 2 ATPs. So if we want to write the net reaction, that is 1 molecule of glucose, 2 ADPs and 2 pyrophosphate and 2 NAD plus, will convert it into 2 pyruvates, 2 ATP molecule, 2 H plus molecule, 2 NADH and 2 water molecule. This is to be net reaction. And you can also be important to understand that the major regulatory enzymes. The major regulatory enzymes in glycolysis is these three. One is hexokinase, and second one is phosphofructokinase, and third one is pyruvate kinase. And you can see here in the total reaction, the hexokinase will be the first reaction of glycolysis. The phosphofructokinase will be the third reaction, and pyruvate kinase at the 10th step. So you can see the inhibitor and activator of these particular regulatory enzymes. Why I am calling this regulatory? Because these are the enzymes which can sense whether the glycolysis pathway has to be carried forward or has to be halted in the cell. So they can make sure about the ongoing of this glycolysis pathway in a cell, in the cytoplasm of any cell. So if you take hexokinase will have no activator. So only the activator is glucose. Whenever the more amount of glucose is coming into the cytoplasm, that can act as a positive activator to the hexokinase, and it's trying to go for its action and convert into 6-phosphate. And coming to the inhibitor definitely glucose 6-phosphate. That is to be an end product of the hexokinase. So this we call them as a feedback inhibition. On feedback inhibition, there are many different kinds of the enzyme inhibition that can be present. One type is feedback inhibition, where the end product of that particular reaction will act as an inhibitor to that particular enzyme. So this type of reaction we call as feedback inhibition. So here the inhibitor is glucose 6-phosphate. And take the second regulator is the phosphofructose kinase, where the inhibitors are ATP, citrate, and phosphoenol pyruvate. And the activator is obviously, which is ADP, AMP, and fructose 2,6-phosphate. You should understand this. Whenever the cell have the more amount of ATP, definitely the phosphofructokinase will stop the glycolysis reaction, and this is no way going to the next level of reactions. And the final one is ATP. The pyruvate kinase at the 10th step, where ATP will act as a negative role on the enzyme, so that the reaction will be stopped. Right? And one more important thing, you can also understand that at the 6th step, that there is a heavy metal that mercury will also be act on it, and phosphoglycerate isomerase will act on it, and that can stop the function of this particular reaction. And you should be very important that whenever read any kind of metabolic pathways, you should understand the regulatory enzymes and their activators and inhibitors. Right, friends, and we will meet you in the next class. See you. Bye.